Rent versus own case study in Phoenix, Arizona. That's what we're going to talk about here today because I did one for Alpharetta, Georgia, which is my neck of the woods now. But I figured, wouldn't it be interesting to go back to my old stomping grounds of Phoenix? And I really didn't stomp there that long, with 3.5 years, I think, 4 years. 97 to 2001, yeah, 4 years. I did have my first daughter there, did get married there, so Phoenix will always be near and dear to my heart. Got married in Cave Creek, Arizona. Cave Creek was just a wonderful town. And then first daughter was born in Paradise Valley Hospital. Paradise Valley Hospital. So I want to go over this because I thought it'd be pretty interesting. So welcome to the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and of course thumbs up and comments for sure. All right, so basically when I got out of college, my wife was at Boston College getting a master's degree, and I've always wanted to move out west. And it was April. She was up there. I was getting ready to graduate from George Mason. I was a year behind her because I hate to say it, but I worked, 2-3 jobs during college. So I spread it out, 12 credit hours a semester as opposed to what she did, which is 18, because she's very academically just superior. No other way around that. But it was April. It was getting a foot of snow. And I called her up, said, "Man, you want to move to Arizona?" And she goes, "Yes, I do." And so we flew out there in May, sight unseen. We said, well, let's see what's out there. We thought we'd go to Tucson, but Tucson's nothing compared to Phoenix. Phoenix is just better. No other way. I don't know what it's like now. This is 20 years ago. But anyway, so we went out there. We scoped out some stuff. We rented some little crappy old apartment off of 24th Street over by, now it's booming there now. Camelback. I forgot the name of that outside mall there. It's sweet. But anyway. All right, so we rented some crappy old place, had some crappy old jobs, whatnot, and then we bought a house on 85024. We bought a trend home, if I recall right, where you do some sweat equity. We had to paint it on the inside and outside for our down payment. Back then, I didn't know about my own VA loans. I didn't know I could use it, so we used the sweat equity as opposed to the VA loan, and a trend home would allow us to use their finance arm. And I'm just, hey, that's fine, but if you can find financing from the builder, that's one thing, but don't forget to look at other options as well. All right, and so I said, okay, we bought the house. So this is 85024 is our area code, or zip code where we bought it. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath house. It's 1291 square feet. So fast forward till today, that house that we were living in is not on the market, but I just started looking at other houses in the same vicinity. So if you go up 7th Street and you got Beardsley, now Beardsley is 101, so 7th Street and Beardsley, that's the neighborhood, and right behind that's called Deer Valley, and that's where it is. Now, if you go way out 17th and you go through, that was never there. All that stuff that wasn't there on 17, like going up towards Black Canyon City where USAA is, all of that isn't there. They just started digging, building out Anthem back then when we moved. So if you go way out there, it's booming now. So back then, this was literally out in the sticks, or out in the desert, which is pretty cool actually. 85024. So I looked at two properties in this vicinity because there's just postage stamp houses. 3-bed, 2-bath, basically 8,000 square foot. So we're talking about 1/8 of an acre, maybe a 1/5 of an acre. Yeah, I guess a 1/5, 1/6 of an acre. 1,300. Ours was 1,291 square feet, but 1,300 and 1,600. We got a rental there in that area at $1,495, and this is literally a block away from where we used to live. All right, that's where that rental place was, 1 block away. So it costs you $1,495 to rent a property there in 85024. Conversely, to own is $279, and this was again is right in the same neighborhood, literally the same neighborhood, same schools, same commute into downtown. Everything's the same, literally in the same neighborhood, about a block away. This one was a 3-bed, 2-bath. 1,600 square feet, so a little bit more in the square footage, but I mean, literally, if you looked at them, you'd never know the difference. I think that was on Ross, actually. I can't remember, but anyway, $279 for that guy, $1,495 for the rent. You factor in $279, and let's just say use your VA loan, put 100% down, put 100% loan to value. Your principal and interest would be $1,413. And then a guy, I forgot who it was. Someone said in my last video, and this is actually a good point, about not taking, also considering the property tax and the insurance. I kind of did, but I didn't actually put in the monthly payment. I should have. So you got to add the property. So you got to do PITA, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. PITA, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And my last comparison here in Alpharetta, I just used PI, I guess, principal and interest, and I should have actually put the TI in there as well. So good point. Oh, man, I forgot that guy's name who said that. But anyway, or maybe lady. Was it Jamie F? I forgot. But anyway, so here we got $21.79 in property tax. I'm just using $1,000 for homeowners insurance, and I don't think there's a HOA here. I might be mistaken. But if you factor in $14.13, which is the principal and interest, plus these two together, divide that by 12, that's $269. So your monthly payment there is $16.77. I can't remember if there's a homeowners. I just don't recall. So we'll say there was not. So you got a rent $14.95, property and or a total payment on the mortgage at $16.77. You know, that $279 is a little bit on the high end for me. I'd rent in that regard, bar none. I would rent. Now this is 100% loan to value. I just rent. So let's just put it that way. Because if you know that neighborhood and you know all the other houses up there and you're trying to sell something, you're gonna, I mean, if you look on Zillow, you're going to be competing with a whole lot of other houses. So if you have to, get out of the premise for whatever reason, it's going to be awful hard to sell this house relative to other stuff that's out there for that price right there. It's going to be awful hard. You might be able to get, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I just don't know. But in this scenario, I'd rent as opposed to buy in that area of Phoenix, 85024. All right, so let's look. So then we sold this house. My wife's mom fell ill. We had our first kid, and we were going to go back to Virginia to be closer to home. And my wife's got 8 brothers and sisters, so we want to be closer to family. We're the only one living out of Phoenix. My brother and his wife actually followed us out there. He got his master's degree from Arizona State, and she got a law degree from Arizona State as well. And they stayed out there for a little bit of time, but they stayed out in Arizona. But other than that, it was just us. So we had some friends and whatnot, but we were wanting to move back to Virginia. I missed the fall, the 4 seasons. I missed it desperately for sure. So we moved back to Virginia. So we were able to sell our house, thankfully, and that didn't take nearly as long as we would have thought. But it was trying. I'll tell you that right now. We had 2 dogs back then, so to maintain the property in order for a buyer was a challenge. In fact, the lady who bought the property, my dog Stout, peed on her. She was looking at the property. So we had that little cage in there to keep him on the linoleum kitchen because we didn't want him getting on the carpet in the living room. And she came in and he jumped on we had that cage, not the cage, the gate. That's what it is, a gate. He jumped on the gate and he let loose all over her, and she ended up still buying the house. So I forgot her name, but thank you for still buying the house. And I think she actually sold it for a pretty hefty profit, as a matter of fact. So she got out of there at the right time because when she sold it, ever since then the property just went down in value, like $85,000. So it was just amazing. So we bought it for $100,000. I think it was $108,000. Sold to her for $150,000 or something like that. 2 years later, something like that. She sold it for like $245,000 a couple years later, and then it fell all the way down to like $85,000. I think even $79,000. Crazy. So anyway, she that was the story. Maintaining a home in order to show it for sale if you have dogs and or children is a challenge. So we rented a house on 85014, which is East McClellan Boulevard. And if you know Phoenix at all, you go up 7th Street. So you got basically Central Ave, and is a Camelback, I think it's Camelback. Central Ave divides the east and west part of Phoenix. The east is, the runner down place. That's like the wrong side of the tracks theoretically. Don't be offended if you live on the East Coast. I don't know what it's like, but just basically speaking, if you're going down Central Ave, the east side is the more not run down, but it's a tougher part of Phoenix, if that makes sense. The west part of Central Ave is a better part. And again, if you're offended by this, I'm sorry. That's just what what I'm talking about. And I don't know what it is anymore. But anyway, so Central Ave, and then you have, I think it's right off 7th Street, or we're off Central Ave. I can't remember. But then if you go down Camelback, and that's the center. So you got your little square there, and that is, if you go west down Camelback, you're going to Scottsdale. If you go east down, I think it's Camelback, Central and Camelback. Anyway, if you go east towards, you're going to like Peoria. Nah, I forgot the towns that way. Sun City and stuff like that. That's what it is. But the initial part of the east part of that area is a little bit tougher, that's for sure. Anyway, so we rented a place right down there in East McClellan, and I loved it, man. It wasn't right downtown, but I mean, literally, it's a hop and a skip from downtown. They actually did irrigation. I don't know if they still do that. So we were able to grow the most luscious grapefruit, pomegranates, and orange trees. Oh, I mean, it was like heavenly. I'm telling you right now, my friends, if you can grow a grapefruit tree from scratch, oh man, it was heaven. I just go out there. It was awesome. And it was a crappy old place, don't get me wrong. I mean, the place was run down, it was crappy, but we rented it and it served the exact purpose. So when we were able to move, we were ready to move, we could just up and leave, which was nice. So 85014 is a zip code there, and again, it's getting a whole lot closer to downtown than 85024. So 85014, you got we're looking at 3 beds, 1.5 bath. I think we had just 1 bath when we rented, but 3 beds, 1.5 baths, 1,300 to 1,600 square foot. And if you're renting, here it's only $1,695. And I saw a house in that vicinity. Same again, these will be all the same schools, so everything's the same. This is 1 block away, same schools. This is 1 block away, the same schools here too. So 85014, and I saw a place for rent that was 1 street over from East McClellan Boulevard. So it wasn't quite on East McClellan, but I'm just telling you, the neighborhoods are all pretty much the same there. And again, I don't know if they still do irrigation, but it was pretty sweet. So presumably they still do irrigation here, so you can get some nice fruit trees growing. But $1,695 is a rent for a 3 bed, 1.5, and I think this was 1,600 square foot, and yet to own is $375. Now the property taxes here are only $1,731, and the insurance, again, I'm using $1,000 a year for homeowners insurance. And look at the difference there, $2,127 versus $1,695. So in this case, in Phoenix, in these 2 places we lived, I'd rent in 2 seconds flat over buying. I mean, look at that, $1,695 versus $2,127. That's a slam dunk to me. And there's definitely no HOA here, by the way. This is an older area. Now, you might say, well, $375, that could go up. I don't see it. I remember when we were, because initially we had thought at one point of buying down there because we actually liked it. And I remember thinking the prices were a whole lot more than I had remembered, and then we had reckoned than they were up in here. And I remember even back then. So back then we're selling houses $140 and stuff like that. And these houses over here were significantly higher than what we were selling for ours in 85024. So that hasn't appreciated all that much relative to what it was. And again, I don't know exactly what it was back in 1999, 2000, but I just remember it was significantly higher back then than 85024, from which we had sold our house to begin with. So I don't think it's appreciated as much as you might think. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to look into that. And again, I don't know what these interior of these homes are, but from a rent to own perspective, Phoenix, Arizona, at least the 2 places I'm familiar with, I'm renting each time without question. So anyway, hope this helps. I'd love to hear your thoughts, whatever your situation is. I'll do another one here because we moved from Phoenix back to Virginia. And then I'll do one, and we lived in Haddonfield, New Jersey. We lived in Boerne, Texas. I'll do one there as well, and it'll be interesting. I find this stuff fascinating. So right now, if I was renting or buying in Alpharetta, Georgia, where I currently am, I would buy. If I was renting or buying in Phoenix, where I was a long time as a young man, I would rent, bar none. So as always, subscribe if you like what you see, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.